Hello friends, welcome to Sociology for Competitive Exams. In this video, I'm going to discuss about Herbert Spencer's famous theory, organic analogy. It is also known as organic theory of society. He's called as the second father of sociology because the only person who explained the theory of evolution for society. We call Herbert Spencer as the second father of sociology. If you are preparing for sociology related competitive exams, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'll be uploading lots of videos on sociology, especially sociological theories. To make this video, I referred George Ridger's Sociological Theory book, then Roshni Jain's Sociology book, and I referred IGNOU's BA Sociology study notes, especially Sociological thought. We'll start from the profile of the author, Herbert Spencer. He's an English sociologist as well as a philosopher. He was born in English Midlands, known by Derby, England, in 27th April 1820. He was educated in maths, physics, and chemistry. Herbert Spencer was exposed on radical religious and social doctrines influenced by his father and uncle. Radical religious doctrines are very strict rules and regulations of specific religion. Social doctrines are norms and values associated with the religion. So he was very religious because of his father and uncle. With little formal education, he instructed in history, literature, and languages. Spencer stopped his education. At the age of 16, he declined to attend university. Then he started working in London and Birmingham railways as an engineer. After completion of his tenure as a engineer in railways in 1841, he became a writer. He was writing a range of social issues and philosophical topics. And he has published a number of research articles on radical journals and newspapers. He more focused on the sphere of government. The famous newspaper during his time, non-conformist. In this newspaper, he wrote about the government, the role of the government in the name of the proper sphere of government. So actually, it was a series of letters. He wrote 12 letters. He more focused on the role of government. He emphasized that government should solely focus on policing. The private sector should take over the other matters, including education, social welfare, and economic activities. The reason behind this, he believed that the fittest individual will get into the top post so that we will get a good administration in the state. And he believed that survival of the fittest individual will get into the top post. And he believed that the government regulation interfere with law of human evolution. So the best individual will not get into the top post because of the reservations, because of the lot of policies helping the unfit individual to get into the topmost post in the government or state. So he was influenced by the famous evolutionist C. Darwin and Malthus and Van Baer. Even in contemporary sociology, a lot of sociologists still opposed to his idea, especially his view of government. In his time, a lot of sociologists talked about racism and sexism, but Herbert Spencer less talked about racism and sexism. Instead of racism and sexism, he always talked about, criticized about the sphere of government. So racism is about criticizing the other races and explaining about the influences of other factors on racism. Also, sexism is about dominance of specific gender on other gender. Herbert Spencer emphasized the individual who is unfit, who will not survive, and the succeeded individual are merely fulfilling their evolution destiny and they will occupy the top position in the government or any sector in the state. And he also talked about the women and the black people during his time. He believed that they are less successful than the white males. Still, he talked about the races, but he less focused on these factors, but he more focused on the institutional factors which influence the individual's capacity and skills. And he believed that their success and failures not only individual aptitude and effort, but also it is based on the institutional cultural dynamics. What are the rules they follow, norms and regulations they follow every day, what type of culture they have, everything influence their success and failure according to Herbert Spencer. This organic theory of society was explained by Herbert Spencer in his book Principles of Sociology. This is very important book written by Herbert Spencer in 1876. And the next book he wrote in 1873 was The Study of Sociology. This is the first sociology textbook in Europe. Now moving on to what is organic analogy. Organic analogy is also known as organic analogy theory, organic theory of society. Herbert Spencer compared the human body with social system. So social system is also known as society. In this society, we could see marriage and family, education, religion, kinship, law, economy, government, polity as institutions. So marriage is an institution, family is an institution, education is an institution. Similarly, in human body, we have many organs like institutions. So he compared the human body with the society, and he says social life, which means individual's life, is a form where we could see more or less interdependent part as a whole. If we take social life, society has life where a number of individuals frame social institution. Example, marriage, where we could see individual has status and role. Based on their status and role, they will frame the structure. So he believed that there is a whole social structure which is made up of many particular system, and these system are interdependent and interconnected. If you take this family where the children will bring up and they will go to school, they will become a labor, they will become an entrepreneur, they will do business, then they will contribute something to the economy. So each and every institution in the society has interdependence and interconnections. Also, he trusted that each organ of the body has one major function, and each group of system or institution in the society has at least one major function to perform. And he says that if any organ is removed from the body, the functioning of the body or may cease altogether. He compared society as super organic and social system where we could see economic institution, political institution, cultural institution, so on, functioning for social life. Next, he compared this with organic or human body or biological system. In this system, we would be having nervous system, circulatory system, and respiratory system, and etc. All these systems are working together for functioning for human life. Now, moving on to the next slide. In this theory, Herbert Spencer compared society and organism. He has given the similarities and the differences. Now we'll see the similarities. If you take society, society is living thing. It has a number of individuals who has life. So society is organic. It is not inorganic in nature. So inorganic means water, matters, and air. Everything will come under organic, which has no life. Similarly, if you take organism, small organism, amoeba, bacteria, fungi, will consider as of organic. It has life. So it is not inorganic in nature. Society grows in size. If you take primitive society where very less individual living in forest areas, then they started living in agricultural areas, in permanent settlement, then started moving to the technological society. Before it was industrial society. So society started grows in size. Similarly, living organism also grows in size from amoeba to mammals. Next is the complexity of the social structure. If you take society, we have a structure. If you take this primitive society where we had less complexity of social structure, that could be the father and mother and some neighbors will be having some role and status. They'll be framing a social structure. Later in agricultural society, they started working under owners and they created a new relationship. They framed some new rules. Next to agricultural society, we had industrial society. There individuals started going to industries. They started working. They started having plenty of roles like manager, supervisor, then workers. Next to the industrial society, now we are in modern society where we have different kind of structure. We have different roles and status to play. So he emphasized that society has nature of increasing in complexity of structure. Similarly, even in organism, we have increase in complexity of structure, as I said, from amoeba to mammals. Apart from that, if you take a human being in mother's womb, we were as a fetus, then we become infant, then child, then younger child, then adult, then become older. So this is the complexity of the structure of a human being as organism. Next, he believed that every institutions in the social system has differences. If you take political institution, which will frame rules and regulation, which will frame laws, and also it influences the other social institutions. It has differences, but it has influence over other institutions. Based on that influences and differences, the society evolve. So next, if you compare the same with organism, even in organism we have different parts. As I said, nervous system, we have respiratory system. Every system in organism has differences. One influences other, one related to other differences. If you take society, it has analogy. We can compare the society with other society, namely primitive society and industrial society. We can compare industrial society with modern society. Similarly, if you take organism, we can compare the particular living organism with other organism, human being and mammals. Apart from that, we can also compare the organism's individual part with other parts. If you take human being as an organism, a human being has heart, he has uh, liver, he has brain. So we can compare the functions of each and every organs in human body and we can analyze. So that is why he said both society and organism has analogical perspectives. Also, he emphasized if one association is lost, it doesn't mean society will end up. If the one association end up, the remaining association will uh, replace the association and it will help to frame new social structure to function the social system. For example, you are in a student association. If the university decided to close the association, then you will frame some club. Then you will give your grievances, you will sort out your issues in a different mode. So Herbert Spencer believed that If the individual has no association, the association is over, it doesn't mean the society results in end. It will start living. Society exists anyway. Similarly, if you take human organism, if the one organ is lost, it doesn't mean the human will die. In every cases, we cannot say loss of one organ leads to loss of life. If you take a particular human being's leg or hands, if the person met an accident, he lost his hand or legs, we cannot say he will die. Still, he has chances for living. Spencer compared the living organism with the society only in specific cases. For example, human being lost his heart, he will die, of course. If he lost his brain, he will be no more. So in this example, he compared the organs, which means legs and hands and fingers. Similarly, in society, if a small association is lost, still some other association will be replacing, the society still exists. Now we'll get into the differences between the society and organisms. If we take parts of society forms discrete, the family will exist here, then economy, industries will exist here, then religion will have existence somewhere else. So it has no specific structure. If you take organism, it has concrete structure. If you take mammal, if you take camel, if you take dog, if you take human being, they have some specific concrete structure. Inside the structure we have parts, we have organs. Next, he talked about the mind. If you take society, individual has mind, every individual has different opinions, so we cannot say specific society has a common mind. It has no collective consciousness that is for entire society. Whereas among organism, consciousness is concentrated in a small part of the aggregate. Whatever the small organs thinks, it will do, it will try to establish its own existence. Next is about existence. Spencer emphasized that the whole society is existing for the good of the individual members, whereas the every organ, every individual unit exists for the good of whole. If you take human being, we have kidney, liver, heart, and other organs. Every individual organs are living for the whole existence, but the society is whole existence existing for the individual members. Next is he believed that state is capable of independent action. Society has capacity to take independent action, whereas organ cannot take independent action. Heart cannot function independently. Organism is incapable of independent action, whereas society has independent action. Finally, society has progress from heterogeneous to coherence, whereas organism has progress in terms of homogeneous to coherence, which means society has heterogeneous individuals, heterogeneous culture, language, and rules and regulations. Still, it has coherence in terms of society, whereas organism has homogeneous, that is particular human being or animal or amoeba or virus or fungi will have a homogeneous nature. Still, that particular organism makes coherence. Coherence means togetherness, integratedness, we feeling sometimes. So I hope you understood the differences and similarities. Now we'll get into the conclusion part. If you take England sociologist Herbert Spencer and American sociologist William Graham Sumner are social Darwinists, they started talking about Darwinism. So Darwinism is only applicable for the biological evolution, animals and plants. After Herbert Spencer and William Graham Sumner's explanation on social Darwinism, people started believing that the Darwinism also applicable for the social system. Spencer applied Darwin's theory of evolution to human society, and he maintained that human existence was based on the survival of the fittest. For example, he talked about the dominant races who influences the other races who has more capacity than the inferior races will dominate in the society and they will be occupying the power in the social system. If you take Emil Durkheim, he is very famous sociologist. He followed Herbert Spencer's theory of analogy and Huxkam's law of three stages to create his theory called division of labor. In this labor, he talked about the solidarity, namely mechanical and organic solidarity. So Herbert Spencer's theory influenced Emil Durkheim to talk about the division of labor. Apart from that, August Comte and Emil Durkheim and Herbert Spencer developed the structural functional approach, which means society has some structure and it plays some function to maintain its social order. Apart from that, they believed that social system has developmental paths through that societies allegedly evolve from one stage to another stage. How the primitive society become agricultural society, then industrial society, modern society, and information society or postmodern society. Now, moving on to the criticism, Herbert Spencer presumed that a society has proper order and harmony. So, in this theory, he only talked about the perfect harmony, where he believed that society has peace and order in the social system, that all the parts are interrelated and interdependent. Further, he neglected to talk about the conflict and contradictions. He didn't talk about harmful and destructive element that may exist in the society. Example, he didn't talk about the familial problems, disorganization. For example, in society we have a number of divorce cases. We have a lot of familial problem, lot of economical, political issues that he didn't address, which leads to social conflict and contradictions. Finally, I have given other thinkers who used analogy in their studies. If you take Cicero, he's a famous philosopher. He used the head of state as the spirit that rules the human body. Every human body has soul. That soul helps the human to run the social life. Similarly, every government has a head of state who leads the government. Then Marsilius of Badua and John of Salisbury talked about state and individual. They compared the state with the individual human being. Next, Hobbes, he is also a famous philosopher. He talked about the state compared as a leviathan, which means a superhuman being. And Rousseau, he also compared the state legislatures with the human heart and the state executive with the human brain. I hope this video is very informative. For Tamil explanation, subscribe to Sociology in Tamil. Watch my other videos. You can ask your questions in the comment box. I'll be uploading a lot of videos on sociology. So make sure you subscribe to this channel as well. This is Mohammed signing off.